Hello, welcome back to Justin Talks Villa, where I have got a hell of a lot to get through, actually. Lots and lots of things to get through. So I'm going to get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's go. Firstly, if you're new around here, drop me a follow, subscribe to the channel, and get involved in the conversation in the comment section below. And please like this video. There's also memberships available. If you would like to help me grow this channel and go on to bigger and better things, then feel free to go and help out with a membership. So lots and lots and lots of stuff to come. Big season ahead. First season with my new channel. And I've got lots and lots of ideas, lots of things in the pipeline. As you are aware, I've been doing this. Well, you might not be aware, but this is my kitchen. So I've been doing it in here for quite a long time now. I've been trying to sort out my internet in my villa bar, and we are almost there now. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'll be moving into what will be my permanent podcast home with a much nicer backdrop than this absolutely awful wall here. It's a nice wall, actually. Don't tell the wife I said that. It's a lovely colour. So, yes, got lots of plans. Weirdly, one of the plans I had, Neil and Paddy, I don't think they'll mind me saying this, actually launched a similar idea last week with a call-in show. Now, it's something I've wanted to do for a long, long time, having been a regular on the BBC WM football phone-in for more years than I care to remember. It's something I really wanted to have a go at doing myself, producing it myself, and basically making it just a Villa call-in show. It's not as easy as you think. I've had to do a lot of research, and I believe I've got all the equipment more or less now to make this work. So hopefully, again, the plan will be to roll it out when the season kicks off, and then one night a week for an hour or so have a dedicated live. So it'll be YouTube live, but also with the technology available for people to phone in and talk about the game or the latest things that's going on. We'll have to see how it goes. I did watch Neil and Paddy's, and there was a few teething problems with the technology. So hopefully the sort of route I was going down is going to work. But as always, we'll see how it goes. Right, let's get into the talking points. Pretty non-football related one I'm going to start with, but the absolutely monumental Ozzy Osbourne gig at Villa, and obviously the gigs we've seen this summer. It's huge for the club, huge for the revenue side of things. You know, a massive stadium just sitting idle throughout the season. Throughout the off season is just pointless, isn't it? Absolutely pointless. So to see these kind of gigs packed out Villa Parks, I mean, this was great, wasn't it? And I'm not a massive fan of this type of music. I can appreciate the quality of the acts that were out there, and for anybody that went, and I had a few people I knew went, and they said it was absolutely fantastic. But you can't beat live music, can you, in a stadium? As you can see, I am sporting my Oasis threads. I'll be going to Wembley to see Oasis. My kind of era. Weirdly, I was never the biggest Oasis fan back in the day. I kind of enjoyed the music, but I never went to see them live. My brother's a massive Oasis fan. But I think when they reformed, I think anybody of my era, it was just my chance to go and watch them live and see what all the fuss is about. And I can't wait, to be honest. I've seen all the footage coming out of the opening nights, and it looked absolutely incredible. So really looking forward to that. But yes, Villa in the long term has to retain this type of event during the summer months, and obviously with the warehouse coming and lots of concerts and kinds of events there, that's going to only help to push us into a 12-month around venue for many events. So yeah, fantastic. So next up is the departure of a certain Felipe Coutinho, if I can get this right. Where am I? Oh, there we are. That's right. Felipe Coutinho finally off the books. Now, there's many ways of looking at Felipe Coutinho's time at Aston Villa. Most people say it was a failure, and I think financially it hasn't been good for the club. I totally get that, but I firmly believe that at the time of signing Felipe Coutinho, it was a moment for Aston Villa. It was a moment when all of a sudden we became a club that could entice top level players to us once again. I equate it a little bit to when Robinho signed for Man City when they had all that money. I know I'm not saying we're going to go on to have Man City success, but you have to, at some point, you have to make a marquee signing, a signing where everybody else turns around and thinks, oh, right, okay, Villa mean business. And I think Coutinho signing did do that. It probably didn't have the long-term effect we hoped it would have. But I still absolutely loved seeing him in a Villa shirt. I met him briefly once to have a photo. And the aura around the guy was absolutely brilliant. And the buzz when he came on in his first game, scored against Man United was, you can't buy those kind of things, can you? So although ultimately, the financial side of it has been a real noose around our neck, I think for me, I don't regret us signing Felipe Coutinho. I think the people that paid his wages might regret it now, but it is what it is. We finally got him off the books and we can now hopefully move on again. Right, next subject. And this week we have seen finally the fine come through for breaching the UEFA financial rules. So Villa were fined 11 million euros, £9.5 million for breaching the FIFA's financial rulings. It was expected by the club. They've been working on doing a deal for a very long time now. And obviously it's got ramifications going forward with having to bring down the squad cost ratio to a point where we are compliant, which we have agreed to do. So that's going to take over the next 18 months, 2 years to get over the line. But the club know exactly what they're doing and what they have to do to comply. I think one interesting side of this is this second paragraph here. The two clubs could be prevented from registering new players for UEFA competitions for the forthcoming season unless they have a positive transfer balance by the end of the summer. Now, I'm pretty sure the club are going to do their best to be in a positive position to make sure they can register the players, but it won't stop us bringing players in my opinion. It would just mean that we wouldn't be able to register any more players for that UEFA competition. So providing we retain a decent amount of players from last season, then we would still be able to, they wouldn't want to go down this road, but it's all about compliance now, making sure that financially the incomings and outgoings balance up and we put ourselves in a position where we don't fall foul for any more rules, because we've got a suspended fine hanging over us now if we don't comply again. So it's important now that any deals we deem that we need to get done are done, and we come out of the summer in fine condition to kick on and make sure that we put ourselves in a really good position to kick on next season and have another good positive season. So next up on the show is this news that came out this week, and I'd like to talk about it for a couple of minutes, which was Villa welcoming the next set of scholars to the club, to the under-18s. A fine bunch of young men there. Look at them all in their lovely new suits. And it's lovely to see the production line continuing at Aston Villa. We saw the absolutely fantastic under-18s from last season sweep the board, and I can't wait to see that team, how that progresses through the 21s and onwards. But this is a new batch that have come through the ranks. Some of them come through the ranks at Aston Villa, some of them have come in fresh to the 18s, so it's going to be really exciting to see how they progress next season. And I'm going to highlight two players which I think we should all keep an eye on. First one, you won't be surprised to see, is Jemai, I hope that's correct, Kellerman, and he's the brother, he looks very, very much like him, to Amari Kellerman, who came through the ranks, who I absolutely loved when I first saw him play. And he progressed so quickly through Aston Villa's ranks to obviously become a player that we eventually sold to Chelsea. This player is clever, technical player, reads and understands the game well. He's able to get in between the lines and link the game, creating positive situations. He has a good footballing brain. I haven't seen him play yet, but he sounds very, very similar to his older brother. So that is going to be a very, very interesting player to keep an eye on. And the other one, which I haven't seen him play, but I've seen lots of highlights of him, is this young man here. I mean, he's got a name to live up to, hasn't he? Jack McGrath. Jack has been in the academy for a number of years, having joined from somebody else. He is a creative attacking midfield player who is technically very good. Jack was part of the under-18 squad who won the League and FA Youth Cup, scored against Newcastle and won the early round. So he'd already made the move up to the under-18s last season and played a few games. Technically, as they say, very good. I've seen him score a few free kicks for Villa as well. And he's definitely one to keep an eye on over the next 2 or 3 seasons. So the next talking point is about the next age group up. So we move from the 18s now to the 21s. And the group of players that were absolutely outstanding last season, the 18s, lots of them have signed new deals. So we go from left to right from the top. We've got Thierry Coutinho, who is a defender, who is very, very highly thought of. And we've got Ashton McWilliams, also a defender, signed a new deal. TJ Carroll, who I know very well, and I am over the moon for this young lad. Worked his socks off to get to where he's got to. 3-year contract, which shows you how highly Aston Villa rate him. Looking forward to seeing him in the 21s next season, how he goes on. And obviously Zipaquano Redmond, who came in highly thought of forward from Feyenoord. And then the last one, which was announced on the 4th of July, was Mully, I think it is, who is also, signed a new contract at Aston Villa. So it's fantastic to see these lads getting the chance to step up at Aston Villa. And with the appointment now of Jimmy Shan to the 21s, who was their manager in the 18s, it gives that chance to keep the momentum going. He's going to obviously take charge of a lot of the players he had over the last 2 seasons in the 18s. So it keeps that momentum from the 18s into the 21s and hopefully further as well. We've also seen Josh Feeney, who is a very, very good footballer, go to Huddersfield, and other players to keep your eye on next season. Tristan Rowe, the right back, Caden Young, still the winger, who sort of was flirting with the first team at the start of last season, but hasn't progressed. So he needs to kick on now. And young Aidan Borland as well, who is a lovely, lovely footballer. Young kid still, 21s. Probably expect him to be captain of the 21s next season. So that'll be an interesting group of players to keep an eye on for the forthcoming season over the next few weeks, especially seeing if many of them possibly might even get a call up to some of the pre-season friendlies. So as we move through all these subjects, let's move on to some questions that I had on X earlier. So the first one is your take on Rory Wilson. 2-year contract for him, 19 years old, suggests he plays some part this season. Why would he sign the contract or not? The Rory Wilson story is really, really interesting. Obviously, Villa signed him in 2022 for a decent fee. I think it was 350,000 from Rangers. And he went to the under-18s. I mean, he was absolutely outstanding for Rangers. I think he scored nearly 50 goals one season for one of the young teams at Rangers, which got him the move, and lots of people talking about him. And he was in the 18s for us, played really well in the under-21s as well. He moved up there. I think he signed a 2-year deal in 2023, and then he agreed a new deal this summer, a long-term deal, ending speculation and keeping him at the club after a long standoff with his advisors, which I would imagine would have been mainly centred around his progression through to a first-team position. I mean, his record is outstanding. Multiple hat-tricks for the 21s. FA Youth Cup player, 27 goals in 25 games, and scored in the under-21s as well. First ever Youth League Cup goal, was part of the Birmingham Senior Cup winning side as well. He has starred for Scotland at youth levels in the under-17s, 14 goals in 13 caps. He's moved through the 19s into the 21 setups as well. So he's obviously progressing really well within the Scottish setup. And he's a really good prospect. So it's going to be very interesting now to see, now he's got the settled contract behind him, what we're going to do with him. I would imagine he's primed now to go and have a loan move, a bit like Louis Barry. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of clubs will be in and around and looking for him to sign. But I expect probably a loan is probably the most likely option, and see how he gets on there. We might see him go on the pre-season tours as well. He's one of the players that potentially could be going on the pre-season tours. So the next question from Darren Jenkins. Any updates on North building work? When will it commence? Any prep going on currently? Is planning permission past any other work on car park between the warehouse and the shop? Right. I believe that the North work will commence pretty much as soon as the summer concerts and everything is done. I think there's a lot of groundwork to be done, a lot of preparation work to be done. They were already starting work on it towards the end of last season, stripping away the outside top levels of the roof structure. So that was interesting. So I expect it to start any time over the next 3-4 months. Plan permission, yeah, as far as I'm aware, the plan permission has gone through. They wouldn't be starting ripping it down if they hadn't. There is going to be a lot of work going on between the car park, between the warehouse and the shop. It's all going to be relayed. It's going to be a really nice open area in the summer for people to hang about and spend a lot of their time there. So it's all really exciting. One of the most exciting projects at Aston Villa for a very, very long time. Once, if we can jump forward to when it's finished with the warehouse, the new club shop, all the really nice new area in between, which will all be nicely set out, with the North stand as well. It's going to be absolutely sensational. Is Owen, sorry, it is a bit of a worry, I think, that despite all recent rumours, there are no solid signs of incoming. Now, I said this a few weeks ago when I found out about the women's team. I wasn't panicked, and I still am not panicked about this issue, about incomings. I am very calm about it. Villa nowadays don't mess about. We will have a full strategy ready to go in any eventuality, any player that goes, we will have a list of replacements for them. So I'm absolutely calm as anything about it. We've got a lot of time left yet. They've only returned to training today, so there's a huge amount of time to get everything done. They have got to get moving with, I think, discussions behind the scenes, and I think the next question sort of touches on this as well. Now the deadline's passed for PSR. Who can you see coming in transfer window-wise this window? Honestly, at the moment, I don't know. I've heard one or two little snippets of rumours. One very interesting one, which I was told possibly could be done. But again, we'll go on to this subject in a minute about finding things out and whether you say it or not, was Harvey Barnes from Newcastle. So that's one to keep an eye on potentially. But yeah, for me, the overview of the whole summer was to sort finances out, be compliant, which we've done. Then it's shift out all the non-wanted players. We've already managed to do that with Kane Kessler-Hayden and the likes of Courtney House and players that were given frees. And then we've seen Coutinho's deal done. The key outs now have to be Buendia, Barrenchiella, Dendonka's a big one as well. So the ones that aren't wanted need to be done if we can get them done. They're obviously on big wages, so it's difficult to shift these type of players out. And then it's about, what do we do about first team squad? Who's staying, who's going? Lots and lots of rumours swirling around. Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez earlier in the summer. We're now seeing and hearing things about Jacob Ramsey, but to be fair, we've heard that a little bit over the last 18 months with a lot of interest from Newcastle. So there is question marks over players. There's players that fans would be unhappy to see go, like some Matty Cash. A lot of people, want to see an upgraded right back come in. Leon Bailey probably is going to have to be shifted out as well. So there is a lot of discussions to be had behind the scenes, but I just hope they are swiftly resolved. So especially the big players, the three I think need resolving very quickly are Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez, and the biggest one I think currently for me is the Boubacar Kamara contract, which has been talked about for a really long time now, and it is slightly concerning he hasn't signed it yet. But maybe he's just waiting to see exactly what Villa are going to do in this window, which he's totally entitled to do. It's his career, it's his life. He wants to be successful. He wants to be at a club that are pushing. So we've had a couple of brilliant seasons. So, he's totally within his right to say to Villa, right, okay, I'd like to stop, but, we need to keep this upward trajectory going for the club. So provided we do, then I will sign my contract. That's my perception of the Boubacar Kamara deal. So lots and lots of deals to be done. I don't particularly worry about them at the moment, but there is plenty of time still left. So that brings me on to the final and biggest subject of the night. Now, I'm going to address it because I'm sick and tired of it, to be honest. This is the last question. It sort of shows what I'm trying to talk about here. Bryn, explain your recent tweet that Villa will allow Ramsey to leave the club. Where has this come from? If it was your opinion, state this in your tweets. So anybody that follows me over on Twitter will know that this last couple of days, it's been once again the cesspit that it normally is. And I've come to the conclusion that from now on, I will not be sharing any information I receive on mainly transfers in and out of Villa on that platform, because I posted about information I'd received about Jacob Ramsey and Leon Bailey on 5 platforms, which was YouTube, Blue Sky, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And the only channel I got abuse on was X. Surprise, surprise. People, not being very, and people that I've known and I've interacted with quite a bit on there as well, being very, very strange. So, yeah, I don't think I have to explain anything, to be honest. I give an opinion and it is based purely from my heart and from what I believe is interesting information, and I believe people would be interested in. So I'll pass it on. It's as simple as that. People are calling me a clickbait, which I certainly am not, because if I was, I'd be literally scrolling through every single article looking for any tenuous link to a Villa player or in or out, and I'd be trying to, do it, and I don't. I very, very pick and choose information that I receive and put it out. I found out about the women's team miles before the news started drip feeding anywhere, and I could have just gone to X and banged that out, and at that point I probably would have been laughed out of social media. So I decided not to. I just put it was a little bit cryptic, but I wanted to make sure that I put out to relax, to be calm, that everything's going to be all right. There's lots of stuff happening behind the scenes, and I'm very confident that Villa are going to be fine financially. And that's exactly how it panned out. Now, I get tidbits of information from many, many sources, and I was talking to one of my contacts at the club about this information, and I was sort of asking that person, how do the journalists and the people that find these stories out first, how do they get their stories? And it's from the very, very highest level. I won't name the journalist, but one of the people that give the journalist information is from one of the owners, and they use these journalists, for their benefit. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So a lot of these journalists getting good information from the top level. That's how they're able to break these stories, and it works both. It works both ways for the club. So they help the journalists, and the journalists maybe do a favour for them. I'm not at that level at all. I've got some really nice contacts that I've built up over a very, very long time. You know, I sound like a prat, and I don't mean to come across like that. I just do know a lot of people, and it's just over time I've built up a lot of contacts, and I've never had a real scoop. I've never been told something that 100% was happening. I think the closest I ever came was I know the ex-stadium manager, Tony Diffley, very, very well. I was talking to him today, actually, and he's a fantastic guy from Liverpool, and he's going to come on the pod and do an episode. But he told me and my brother that when Jack was sold, he told me right, and us both, my brother would verify this, that he believes Jack was going. That was just towards the end of the season when he was left. He left it in that summer. And if you remember rightly, right at the start of that summer window, you know, nobody believed he would leave. But he told me, he said, yeah, he's gone. He's going. I never said anything. So, yeah, that's where I get my information from. And I'm not going to excuse myself from it. I'm going to continue sharing them on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, because that's a nice place to be, and Blue Sky. And I shall keep interacting with X. But I am definitely trying to phase out X to a point where I can delete it, really, because it's a vile place, absolutely vile place. But I absolutely love you lot on here. I won't be stopping sharing information with you. Like everybody that subscribes to this channel has been absolutely nothing short of sensational with me, and I love every single one of the amount of people that come up and talk to me. Brilliant. So if I do get a nice bit of information that I feel is relevant, I'm going to share it. You know, the chances of it coming true, I don't know, but I'm going to share it anyway. I'm not going to pile hundreds and hundreds of things on. But I'm going to talk about this Ramsey particularly situation. I do believe most people believe that Bailey's going to be going. But as I say, I was told that Villa will entertain offers for Ramsey. And yes, as I was told 40 times on X, every player has his price. And I totally understand that. However, nobody's going to come in and give us £200 million for Morgan Rogers, because that's probably the cost he would, you know, the price to make him leave, a ridiculous sum. But I do believe that the squad has been looked at, and I do believe that Jacob Ramsey is somebody they are prepared to sacrifice for what they see as the greater good of a rebuild of the squad this summer. And I'm going to sort of try and explain why I don't think it's the worst idea out there. And the reason behind that is, and I was going to do this a different way. I was talking to a good friend of mine on Twitter, funnily enough, Aston Villa Stato, who is fantastic, by the way. So you should go and follow him on there, because he does some great stuff. So that's where I've got 3 of these graphics from that's helped me out, trying to explain where I'm coming from with the Jacob Ramsey debate. Now, what I did was what I was going to do was I was going to show you all these statistics and not tell you who they were. So I've got a player to put him up against as a comparison, who I think would be a good addition to the squad. And I think we could get, and I've heard we could be in for him. I've mentioned him already in this episode, against Jacob Ramsey. Now, Jacob Ramsey's last 5, I'm going to use the last 5 seasons in the Premier League to try and explain my theory. Now, the biggest thing about Jacob Ramsey is he's a homegrown talent and he's a big Villa fan. Those 2 factors for me cloud a lot of Villa fans' judgment on the player. That's my opinion. That's my perception of why a lot of people wouldn't like to see him go, because it's a homegrown talent that's got a lot of potential, and he's got a decently high ceiling, as we saw probably 3 years ago when he had his best season for Villa and he was knocking on the door of England. People were talking about him in them circles. And I think that was an interesting time for Jacob, and he was very unlucky getting the injury at the 21 tournament, which has basically ruined his progression since, and he hasn't been able to reach those levels again. Now, the argument is, and the question that Emery and the coaching staff and whoever has to deal with these decisions is, do we think he's going to get back to that level? And I believe they don't. That's where I think they are at the moment with Jacob Ramsey. Now, this is just My opinion. Okay. And I think out of all the players currently in the squad, he would fetch a decent price. He's 24 now, so he's not a young kid anymore. He's coming to the mid-20s. So this is where really we need to start him pushing. And nothing would make me happier than to keep Jacob Ramsey. I'll put that out there as well. And hope that next season is the season he regains that form and gets his mojo back. But this is how I believe the club will look at it. And they'll look at it from a distance and purely based on statistics and what he has achieved over the last 5 seasons. And I did a bit of research myself. This is what I found out. So Ramsey, 5 full seasons. So it's a good sample size. We're not going off one season. The Premier League stats only, this is. So 21-22, 22 games, no goals, no assists. 2021, that's 21-22, 34 games, 6 goals, 1 assist. 22-23, which was his really good season when he was attracting attention of England. 35 games, 6 goals, 7 assists. That's the best season he's had at Villa in the Premier League. 23-24, yes, he had a lot of injuries that season. 16 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Last season, getting back to sort of where he was roughly at. 29 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. In 5 seasons, that's a total of 136 games, 14 goals, 12 assists. Now, I don't think that's good enough. Purely on where would you want this player? See what I'm saying? If you took the name out of it, Jacob Ramsey, then would you be signing that player based on those statistics? That's a goal every 9.7 games, an assist every 11.3 games. 26 goal contributions in 5 seasons. For a player playing on the left in an attacking position, which is his primary job, that isn't good enough for me. And yes, he's had injuries. So his injuries, 22-23, 4 games missed. 23-24, 36 games missed. 24-25, 10 games. That's 50 games missed in 5 seasons. So the player I'm putting him up against is Harvey Barnes. Now, I tweeted out this link that I'd heard about a few weeks ago, and I'm going to say it was a mixed response to it. A few people were up for it, a few people weren't up for it. And the things that they weren't up for it, the main reason was that they said he was injury prone, didn't play enough games, didn't contribute enough, don't think he could do it at the Villa. Now, if you look at his statistics over the last 5 seasons, so this is Harvey Barnes, 2021, 25 games, it's all Premier League. So the first 3 are for, I think, Leicester, and the last 2 are for Newcastle. So 25 games, 9 goals, 4 assists. 21-22, 32 games, 5 goals, 10 assists. 22-23, 34 games, 13 goals, 1 assist. Then the Newcastle move, 23-24, 21 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. Last season, 33 games, 9 goals, 4 assists. That's 145 games, 41 goals, 22 assists. That's a goal every 3.5 games, which is decent for a winger and attacking midfielder. An assist every 6.5 games, and 63 goal contributions over the last Premier League seasons. Now, Harvey Barnes, as everybody pointed out to me when I tweeted that out, has missed 43 games in that period. So he's missed 7 games less than Jacob Ramsey, yet people are telling me they would rather keep Jacob Ramsey because Harvey Barnes is injury prone. I think this shows that they're both a similar type of injured player, and this can happen to any player. As we know, injuries can occur at any time. But overall, Harvey Barnes, when he's on the pitch, contributes far more than Jacob Ramsey has over the last 5 seasons. Now, I'm not picking on Jacob Ramsey, and I'm not trying to push him out the door, as somebody says, these YouTubers trying to sell our best players. I'm not at all. I'm trying to give a balance, like I always try and do, opinion on why and how clubs come to a decision on letting a player go, and they can't let their hearts rule their heads. They just can't. You know, I love Jacob Ramsey. He's apparently a really nice guy. I know people that know him, and he's done fantastically well. You know, the chances of getting through an academy into a Premier League first team squad, he's 1 in a million. And that, you know, it's hard graft. You know, we've seen loads of really good young players be released over the years. He has made that jump and he's done it really well. And he's had a really good career at Villa. But where we are now and where we want to be, can we afford, with a limited sort of ins and outs allowed this summer, can we afford, it's a harsh word, but can we afford to carry Jacob Ramsey for another season? That's what I'm saying. So if you look at these sort of comparison statistics with Jacob Ramsey and Harvey Barnes, so this is overall wagon wheel. So the red is Harvey Barnes and the blue is Jacob Ramsey. So from a quick look, you can see where Jacob Ramsey excels. So pass completion, he's better. Tackles, interceptions, blocks. So defensive side of the game, much better. Shots, MPXG, progressive carries, touches, progressive passes, clearances, non-penalty goals, shots total, all Harvey Barnes. The next one, which is defensive duties, Jacob Ramsey's better. He's better defensively than Harvey Barnes. I don't think anybody would dispute that. And that's a great attribute to have for any midfielder that can come back and help out at the back. But essentially, playing off the left-hand side of the team, that's not what he's in the team for, is it? He's not in the team to defend. We need to get him up the pitch. So, yes, interceptions, percentage of dribblers tackled, tackles won, tackles, percentage of aerial won, aerials lost, you know, ball recoveries, fouls drawn, clearances, weirdly, Harvey Barnes is better. That's a very interesting statistic. But when you see this one, which is the main one, I think, where you want this player on the left-hand side to be, there is no competition. There just isn't. Harvey Barnes is head and shoulders. You know, shots, non-penalty goals and assists, passes into penalty area, expected goals, shots on target. You know, the only thing that Jacob has excelled at is pass completion. So whilst it's a really, really difficult subject to talk about, a player that we all love, I'm trying to explain how I believe the club go about their work, which means that they have to take emotion out of it, they have to be pragmatic, and they have to do what they feel is the best to put a squad out to give us the best possible chance to succeed in the next season. And that's where I believe they will be at with any outgoings this season. Okay, that's enough from me. I've waffled on enough. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Drop this video a like. Get involved in the comments. And as I said at the start, memberships are available. Lots of exciting stuff to come. You can contact me, like many, many people have, on justintalksvilla@yahoo.com. And I will speak to you all again soon. I hope you're all okay and well. Up the Villa.